Hi, I'm Jacquie from Absolute Corporate Events and also now Absolute Digital Communications. And today I am speaking to my long-standing mad American friend, Lisa. And as it's Friday, we've got a glass of wine, haven't we, Lisa?
Yeah, there you go. Of course.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
So, Lisa, tell us a little bit about iconic luxury hotels.
Iconic luxury hotels. Well, I've had the privilege and the pleasure of working with Chewton Glen since 2002. And I worked with Chewton all that time. And then about 8 years ago, they acquired Cliveden House. So all of a sudden it was Chewton and Cliveden. And then they acquired Lygon, and all of a sudden we became kind of a group. So that's how we became iconic luxury hotels. So we had 3 country houses, and then we acquired another hotel in London called 11 Cadogan Gardens, which is a small boutique townhouse right off of Sloane Square. All our hotels are only in the best neighborhoods, of course.
Of course.
And so we became more of a group. So we went from a single to a quartet.
Oh, and I've been so lucky to have seen most of those hotels with you. So, I mean, Cliveden, stunning, just outside Windsor, and that has got so much history to it. That's what I love about that, because I love history. Chewton Glen, just a beautiful leisure luxury hotel. And Lygon Arms, Broadway, was my first ever luxury hotel I ever went to.
Really? I didn't know that.
As a young girl, I was working as a PA for this top flyer, a guy at a company called ECS, and he took me along to a board meeting, and I was sat in the Lygon Arms, scared to death. And he ordered some very posh wine and this very expensive food, and that was my first. So Lygon Arms has always been like so close to my heart because it was my very first hotel, luxury hotel that I went inside.
Yeah, it's really lovely. I mean, when we acquired it a couple of years ago, it had needed a bit of love. It was a little bit tired. It was basically exhausted, but we put a huge investment into it, and now it looks fab. It's sort of like Ralph Lauren meets the Cotswolds. It's really. Every time I go out there, I feel like I'm going on holiday. So yeah, it really is beautiful.
And I bet you've been busy. Well, I know you have, because I tried to book some rooms for a client and I couldn't get any. So you've been busy, because you can literally step out the doors and you're on Broadway, aren't you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, all the country houses have been absolutely heaving. Chewton Glen, Cliveden, Lygon Arms, because, you know, as we know with the current situation, everyone's kind of confined to quarters. No one can leave the country particularly. But I think that's a positive, because I mean, I've been here 22 years and I've always been a big tourist, and I'm very proud to be a Brit now.
Yeah.
And I still, every time I go to a different village or area that I've never been before, I think it's fabulous. But I think so many Brits just automatically thought, holiday time, let's leave the country and go off to wherever. But now, because they're kind of almost forced to, they're rediscovering their own country. It sounds a bit cliche, but I think, you know, they're really seeing how fabulous and how many amazing different kind of places. Like the New Forest is so different from the Cotswolds, so different from, like, you know, around Berkshire. So yeah, good.
I know, we had such a fabulous summer, so we could enjoy the outdoor space. And then autumn is stunning around the Cotswolds, isn't it? And also, I suppose, Chewton Glen as well.
Oh, Chewton Glen's, you know.
Forest.
And the fact that people can walk to the sea. And I think it's all that open space that people look for. And the Lygon Arms, I mean, Broadway, if you went to Walt Disney and said, make the perfect English village, it would probably be Broadway. It's just almost silly. It's so perfect. And with Christmas coming too.
Yeah. Well, it's good that the country house properties are doing well, but you also have a new opening in the city, don't you?
Yes, we're quite excited about that. We have our newest hotel. So we're going from a quartet to a quintet, and it's going to be the Mayfair Townhouse, which is opening next month. It's right on Half Moon Street, you know, right in the heart of Mayfair. And like it's 15 old townhouses that were kind of meshed together. It'll be 172 rooms. The tagline is Oscar Wilde meets Alice in Wonderland, if you can imagine that. But the great thing about it is, because we're discovering all these things, sort of like Cliveden. I mean, it's all about kind of scandal, and that part of Mayfair was sort of the kind of hot neighborhood to be in a few years. So we're trying to kind of bring that back. I mean, our bar is called the Dandy Bar, and it's all going to be quite swish. So
Oh, and I'm lucky. I'm actually going to be there with the Mice Book group in a couple of weeks' time, so I'll see it firsthand. So we'll be able to report back on it. But it must be so exciting having a new opening during a lockdown.
Yeah, it's been tough, but we have a fantastic director of sales and marketing there, Hubert, who's very charming, and he's just been, like a dynamo there, pulling the whole thing together. I mean,
Yeah.
so I think, and that's the thing. I think we have Hubert, we have a fantastic manager of the bar, great concierge. It's going to be as much about the people as the bricks and mortar. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So another new opening to report back on. So great news. Now, you and I have been chatting quite a lot because when I opened the new company with Chris, Absolute Digital Communications, we started to think about how incentives were going to look for the future. And it's going to be about reward and recognition for a lot of staff that have worked really hard throughout this experience, isn't it? And you've put together some great ideas about having iconic experiences at some of your hotels. So not just a traditional 2-day stay in a spa, but something a little bit different. I love the idea of the Morgan ride in the Cotswolds. That's brilliant. But tell me a little bit more about some of the things that you're doing.
Well, we've had this conversation. I think you have to kind of cut your cloth to suit your coat. And right now, obviously, a big group reward incentive is not going to happen. I mean, you have to be realistic. But by the same time, now more than ever, people are looking to reward their staffs. I mean, so many companies are doing quite well through this. And if ever they needed to bring the team together and reward them with something maybe even beyond just the virtual, it's a hybrid. So we're looking at where they'd have a choice of one of our 5 hotels, but it's not, as we've discussed, it's not a voucher. This isn't like you hand them a voucher and they go off and they give it to their next door neighbor, because there's no real ROI for the company.
No.
But this is a shared experience that's delivered individually. So as we said, we're delivering the same kind of reward or incentive that they might do 50 couples together or 100 couples together. They're doing that same shared experience. They're just going at different times.
Yes.
And the experience, sorry.
Yes, no, and we've spoken about this as well within our company. It is about rewarding those individuals and having the ability to take their partner away who's probably supported them through this time, or their children, or a family member who may have been unwell or whatever. So it's kind of giving it back to individuals to choose what they want to do, but have the teaser campaign and the stimulus of a website where they can see what everybody else is doing, and they've got the targets and etc. as before, and or they are recognised as being rewarded for going above and beyond. So it will still be as a part of a company website, but they will have individual experiences, which is something Chris has been talking about for a while, that people have the right to choose what they would like to do, because not everybody wants to go away in a big group, do they? You know, when you've got such a differential in levels, you know, a junior member might feel quite nervous if the CEO's there. So I think it's nice to give something back on an individual basis.
Oh, absolutely. And don't you think now, even if for a company that had the money of tomorrow, they said, right, tomorrow we can take 50 of you for this most amazing experience, 5-star, first class, Mauritius, wherever, and for 50 couples, probably, even if they could, probably 10-20% would be anxious about going, because but this is that kind of baby step, because I think when people can go to a hotel as a couple and experience it, the next time that company wants to do a group event, maybe next year sometime, those people will have already gone to a hotel and they will feel more comfortable. You know, it's kind of that interim step. And that's why you guys have been so ahead of the curve by looking at, it's not just the virtual, it's not just the live, it's that combination of how you can bring it all together. I mean, where there's a will, there's a way.
Where there's a will, there's a way. And we've certainly got a lot of will, haven't we, Lisa?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we've been fighting hard throughout and looking at, do you know what, this has only accelerated what was going to happen anyway, because if you look at the corporate responsibility, the sustainability, the cost of travel, we were moving more to a hybrid model anyway for some of those small to middle events. So it's just accelerated what was coming, I think. But we all will be reinvigorated to go back to hotels, because we will have missed them. So, whereas we may have taken them for granted, we're going to really enjoy traveling and an experience now again, I think.
Oh, absolutely. And what we were saying earlier on in the conversation too, and it was going that way, I think, with the sustainability and the air miles and all that. People are rediscovering the UK. And so for us, I mean, UK companies looking at perhaps a reward program across our 5 hotels. And they're staying in the UK. They're avoiding all that, so you've got the sustainability issue, but yet because of where our hotels for us are located, it gives them a bit more of a choice geographically. And there again, like you said, with you curating, working together to curate experiences that are really, even you mentioned the CSR. I mean, they could go to a hotel and all of them could have some kind of CSR giving back volunteer experience. They could then share on the platform that you could create. I mean, it really is sort of the way of the future.
Absolutely. And we are actually going to use science as well, which we will be launching in a couple of weeks, to try and get people to test what actually stimulates them, because different people want different things to be rewarded, like we all do, don't they? I mean, I actually don't like shopping, believe it or not. I like nice shoes, but I don't like going shopping. I much rather jump out of a plane. So, someone probably wouldn't know that. So I think it is important that people get to do what would really stimulate them. And some people that might be adventure, others it may be sitting in a spa, others it might be they want to chauffeur a different car for a year.
Yeah, absolutely. That was the way it was going, exactly like what you said earlier. I mean, 20, 30 years ago, God knows, I won't say how long, I've been in this, but 20, 30 years ago, an incentive or a reward was just a replacement holiday.
Yes.
I mean, take somebody to a beach resort and do the jet skis and all that. But that's so changed, and all the studies have been that where experience is still the greatest motivator.
Absolutely.
And travel in this group, but it's changed in much more personal, much more authentic, bespoke, and they're again taking into consideration all the sustainability issues. So this fits that even before, the pandemic.
Yeah. I mean, as I said earlier, I think all these things have just been accelerated by COVID, and everybody's got to think creatively. It's a disruption, but it causes a change. And as Chris would say, without change, nothing happens. So it is important that we look at things and do things differently and do things creatively. And it's fantastic that you've gone through a new opening and thought about iconic experiences. But I do miss face-to-face as well.
Oh, I know. I so do. I mean, I've gone to the hotels a few times. I've not as much as I used to, but it's just so lovely to, to be there. And I've got to say, and this is, there's been so much controversy. See, I'm sounding English now, controversy about this. But when I do go to our hotels, and to be fair, a few other venues I've been to, restaurants I've been to, you almost feel safer.
Yeah.
Safer on a plane, safer because they're in controlled environments. And the hotels and other, it's in everyone's best interest to make sure everyone's as safe as you can possibly be.
Absolutely.
You can't say absolutely 100%, but this COVID secure where you can really do your best to make it as safe an environment, as controlled an environment.
Absolutely. But we do miss a personal touch still. Yeah. So I'm going to chin you and say, I do hope I see you at the Mayfair Townhouse in a couple of weeks. Have a gin and tonic.
No, Jacquie, a gin and iconic.
Of course. I miss seeing your madness. So
you may be one of the only ones, but anyway,
But I will see you in a couple of weeks. Nice to see you, Lisa.
Nice to see you too.